Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. Biological diversity, access to biological resources and knowledge associated thereto, and fair and equitable sharing of benefits regulations 2025 notified. DRDO conducts maiden flight trials of Stratospheric Airship platform. Center launches Indian Institute of Creative Technology to revolutionize AVGC XR sector. India becomes the first country in world to develop genome-edited rice varieties. Mediation, a key instrument to realize the vision of Viksit Bharat by 2047, says President. Report for Framework on Repairability Index in Mobile and Electronic Sector submitted. Here's a significant development in India's biodiversity governance. New rules have just been notified to strengthen how we access and share biological resources. The biological diversity, access to biological resources and knowledge associated thereto, and fair and equitable sharing of benefits regulations 2025 have officially been notified. These rules have been issued by the National Biodiversity Authority or NBA in accordance with the Biodiversity Act of 2002. Replacing the earlier 2014 rules. So what do these updated regulations aim to do? They are primarily designed to guide the sharing of benefits that arise from the use of biological resources, including digital sequence information or DSI, and any knowledge associated with those resources. Let's take a closer look at the key highlights of the rules. First, the principle of prior informed consent or PIC. Anyone, whether a person or an industry intending to access biological resources, must provide prior intimation to the NBA and obtain approval. However, this requirement does not apply to access involving cultivated medicinal plants that have already been notified under the Biodiversity Act 2002. Next, let's talk about benefit sharing. The rules lay out a clear slab-based structure that depends on the annual turnover of the person or industry accessing the resource. Here's how it's structured. For annual turnover up to 5 crore rupees, the amount payable is nil. For turnover above 5 to 50 crore rupees, the payable amount is 0.2% of the annual gross ex-factory sale price, excluding government taxes. For turnover above 50 crore to 250 crore rupees, the rate is 0.4%. And for turnover above 250 crore rupees, the benefit sharing rate is 0.6%. In addition to this, all users with an annual turnover exceeding 1 crore rupees must submit a detailed statement of the biological resources used each year. In cases where biological resources are of high conservation or economic value, such as red sanders or agar wood, the benefit sharing amount must not be less than 5% of the proceeds, whether from auction, sale or purchase. And in cases of commercial use, it could even exceed 20%. Further, when it comes to the commercialization of intellectual property rights, applicants are required to pay a monetary benefit or provide a non-monetary benefit to the NBA, depending on what has been mutually agreed. Now, to understand the foundation of all this, we need to briefly touch upon access and benefit sharing or ABS. ABS refers to the method by which genetic resources are accessed and the benefits from their use are shared between the users and the providers of those resources. This framework is covered under the Convention on Biological Diversity or CBD. It is further supported by international tools such as the Bonn Guidelines and the Nagoya Protocol of 2010. More recently, a multilateral mechanism for the use of digital sequence information was adopted at CBD COP16 in 2024, strengthening global cooperation on ABS. With these new regulations in place, India is stepping up its commitment to equitable and transparent use of its biological wealth. The Defense Research and Development Organization or DRDO has successfully conducted the maiden flight trials of the Stratospheric Airship platform or SAP. With this, India joins a select group of nations possessing an indigenous high-altitude platform system. So who's behind this feat? The SAP has been developed by the Aerial Delivery Research and Development Establishment based in Agra. It marks a significant advancement in boosting India's Earth observation and intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance or ISR capabilities. But what exactly is a Stratospheric airship platform? SAP is an unmanned, high-altitude airship that operates in the stratosphere, typically between 17 to 22 kilometers above Earth. It functions as a high-altitude pseudo-satellite or HAPS, capable of staying airborne for extended durations. HAPS can be classified as aerodynamic or heavier than air systems like fixed-wing aircraft and aerostatic or lighter than air systems such as balloons and airships. Now, you might be wondering, how does it stay afloat? SAP uses helium for buoyancy and is generally powered by solar energy, with onboard batteries supporting nighttime operations. Moving on to its strategic advantages, unlike traditional satellites or aircraft, SAP can hover over a specific area for days or even weeks, enabling persistent surveillance and communication support. It can carry imaging sensors, radars, and telecom payloads, making it an ideal tool for border monitoring, disaster response, and intelligence missions. And most importantly, SAP bridges the gap between drones and satellites, offering space-like coverage but with faster deployment, lower costs, and greater flexibility. With SAP's successful trials, India has added a powerful tool to its ISR arsenal. Moving on, the Centre has launched the Indian Institute of Creative Technology or IICT with the aim of revolutionizing this emerging domain. This initiative has been rolled out by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting in collaboration with FICCI and CII. So what exactly is IICT? It will serve as a national centre of excellence dedicated exclusively to the AVGC XR sector. Now, if you're curious about what extended reality or XR really means, it refers to technologies that blend physical and digital worlds. Think virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. Interestingly, the IICT will follow the same template as the IITs and IIMs in India. That means it aspires to become a world-class education and training hub for students who dream of building a career in the AVGC XR field. Now, let's talk about the benefits of setting up this National Centre of Excellence. First, the centre holds exponential growth potential. According to the FICCI EY Report 2023, India's animation industry alone is growing at a rate of 25%, with an estimated value of 46 billion rupees in 2023. Next, there's a strong focus on the creation of indigenous IP, not just for domestic consumption, but also for global outreach. This step is expected to nurture India's digital creative economy. There's also a huge opportunity when it comes to employment generation. The sector is expected to create around 5 lakh new jobs with an integrated focus on education, skilling, industry development, and innovation. And finally, IICT is also poised to enhance India's soft power through cutting-edge training and the seamless integration of India's rich cultural heritage with modern technology. Let's now take a look at the current status of this sector. Globally, the AVGC XR market was valued at over $366 billion in 2021. India currently accounts for less than 1% of the global market. However, there's immense potential. In fact, the Indian AVGC XR market could grow to $26 billion by 2030. Notably, Karnataka, often called India's IT hub, is already carving out a leadership position in this space. So what's driving this growth? First, the expanding OTT user base. In 2024 alone, India had an estimated 547 million OTT users, with a penetration rate of 38.4%. Next, the rapid rise of smartphone users. As per a report by IAMAI and Kantar, India is expected to have over 900 million internet users by 2025, most of them from rural areas. Also, the applications of animation and VFX now go far beyond entertainment. They're being used in gaming, edtech, architecture, and more. Add to that the advent of new technologies. Investment in AR and VR is increasing year on year. And finally, factors like increased R&D investments and the growing presence of 5G are only adding fuel to the fire. With the launch of IICT and the vision of a National Centre of Excellence, India seems to be taking a bold and strategic step toward shaping the future of the AVGC XR ecosystem. Moving ahead, India has achieved a global first in agricultural innovation, genome-edited rice. The Indian Council of Agricultural Research, or ICAR, has developed the country's first genome-edited rice varieties, named DRR Rice 100 Kamla and Pusa DST Rice 1. This makes India the first country in the world to develop such varieties. So, what's special about these varieties? They've been created using genome editing technology based on the CRISPR Cas system, a method that allows for precise changes in genetic material without introducing foreign DNA. Now, moving to regulations, the genome editing of site-directed nuclease 1, STN1 and STN2 types of genes have been approved under India's biosafety regulations for general crops. These innovations weren't made in isolation. ICAR developed them with the support of the National Agriculture Science Fund, or NASF, which plays a key role in supporting basic and strategic agricultural research. Let's now take a closer look at the two rice varieties. First, DRR Dhan 100 Kamla. It was developed by ICAR, Indian Institute of Rice Research, Hyderabad. This variety is an improvement of the well-known Samba Mahsuri and was created by targeting the CKX2 gene, which controls cytokinin, a plant hormone responsible for growth and stimulation of cell division. Next, Pusa DST Rice 1. This was developed by ICAR, Indian Agricultural Research Institute, New Delhi. It is an enhanced version of the fine-grained rice variety MTU 1010, also known as Cotton Dora Sanalu. Now, let's break down what site-directed nuclease, or SDN, really means. There are three types. SDN1 involves site-directed mutagenesis without using a DNA sequence template. SDN2 involves the same process but with a DNA sequence template. SDN3 includes the insertion of a gene or a large DNA sequence using a DNA template. And what benefits do these new rice varieties offer? First, productivity. There's a 19% increase in yield. Second, climate adaptability, a 20% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Water conservation. They help save 7,500 million cubic meters of irrigation water. These varieties also show improved tolerance to drought, salinity, and climate stresses. With these developments, India is setting a benchmark in agricultural research, blending precision biotechnology with food security. Speaking at the first National Conference on Mediation held in New Delhi, the President emphasized the transformative role of mediation in achieving the vision of a developed India by 2047. A major highlight of the event was the launch of the Mediation Association of India. So, what exactly will this association do? The Mediation Association of India aims to institutionalize and promote mediation as a preferred, organized, and accessible mechanism to resolve disputes. Let's now take a moment to understand what mediation actually is. Mediation is one of the alternate dispute resolution mechanisms alongside arbitration and conciliation, and the numbers speak for themselves. Between 2016 and early 2025, a whopping 7,57,173 cases were resolved through mediation. Now, how does mediation differ from arbitration and conciliation? Let's break it down. First, nature. Mediation and conciliation are voluntary and informal, while arbitration is formal and legally binding. Second, role of third party. In mediation, the mediator facilitates dialogue without imposing a decision. In arbitration, the arbitrator acts like a judge and gives a binding verdict. In conciliation, the conciliator may suggest solutions and propose settlements. Third, binding decision. Only arbitration results in a legally binding decision. And lastly, enforceability. Mediation and conciliation are not enforceable unless turned into a contract, while arbitration outcomes are legally binding and enforceable. So, why is mediation significant? It directly reduces the judicial burden. The India Justice Report 2025 notes that the number of pending cases in Indian courts have crossed 5 crore. It also offers cheap and speedy justice, saving legal fees, court costs, and time. Most importantly, it encourages cooperative problem solving, where a neutral third party facilitates communication without taking sides. Now, let's look at some major steps India has taken to promote mediation. The Mediation Act 2023 sets up a consolidated legal framework. The Commercial Codes Act 2015, amended in 2018, introduced the Pre-Institution Mediation and Settlement or PIMS mechanism. The Consumer Protection Act of 2019 encourages mediation for quick and affordable consumer dispute resolution. And globally, India is a signatory to the Singapore Convention on Mediation. In a significant development, India is taking a bold step toward promoting repair-friendly electronics. Let's talk about the newly submitted framework for the Repairability Index or RI in the mobile and electronics sector. A committee formed under the chairmanship of Bharat Khera has submitted its report to the Department of Consumer Affairs or DOCA. This report outlines a structured framework for a repairability index, aiming to empower consumers and improve product sustainability. So, what exactly does this RI framework propose? The committee has recommended that original equipment manufacturers or OEMs must self-declare the RI of their products. This will be based on standard scoring criteria laid out in the framework. And where will you see this index? The RI must be displayed at the point of sale or purchase across e-commerce platforms and also in the form of a QR code on packaged products. Now, let's talk about scope. For the initial phase, the committee has identified smartphones and tablets as the priority categories. How is the RI calculated? Well, it is assessed on 6 core parameters: disassembly depth, repair information, spare parts availability, fasteners, software updates, and tools. Each of these parameters has specific scoring criteria and weightages, and the final RI is calculated on a 5-point numeric scale by aggregating these scores. So why does this matter? Let's begin with improved repair accessibility. Complaints in the mobile and tablet category have seen a sharp rise, from 19,057 in 2022-23 to 22,864 in 2024-25. Then, there's a larger goal of promoting a sustainable economy. The RI supports the lifestyle for the environment movement by encouraging sustainable consumption. It also directly addresses the issue of planned obsolescence, where devices are designed to have a short lifespan just so that they can be replaced sooner. And yes, there's an economic angle too: employment generation by opening the door for third-party repair services. Now, this is all connected to a bigger consumer rights movement, the right to repair. So what is it? The right to repair calls for companies to provide spare parts, tools, and repair-related information to customers and independent repair shops, ultimately increasing the lifespan of products. And to facilitate this, the Department of Consumer Affairs launched the Right to Repair portal India back in 2022, making vital repair information easily accessible. With this framework on the table, India is clearly signaling its intent to put power back in the hands of consumers and take a greener, more sustainable approach to technology. In today's Place in News, we will talk about Angola with its capital, Luanda. Recently, India announced a $200 million defense credit line for Angola. Now, let's talk about some political features of the nation. Angola is located in southwestern Africa. It shares its borders with the Republic of the Congo to the north, the Democratic Republic of the Congo to the northeast, Zambia to the southeast, and Namibia to the south. To the west, Angola has a maritime boundary with the Atlantic Ocean. Geographically, Angola is rich in natural resources such as petroleum, diamonds, iron ore, phosphates, copper, feldspar, gold, bauxite, and uranium. When it comes to water bodies, the country is home to major rivers like the Zambezi, Kwango, and Kwanza. Notably, the Kwango River forms a natural boundary between Angola and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Moving on to the climate, Angola experiences a tropical climate with a marked dry season. The weather patterns are largely influenced by the northward flow of the cold Benguela current, which moves along the west coast of southern Africa. As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. National Dam Safety Authority reported significant damage to the KLIP barrages post 2023 flooding incident. NDSA, India's national safety regulator for large dams, is a statutory body set up under the National Dam Safety Act 2021. India has reduced the flow of water to the Baglihar Dam after Indus Treaty suspension. Baglihar is runoff river hydropower project located on Chenab River in Jammu and Kashmir. Chenab River is the largest tributary of the Indus. Recently, it has been highlighted that agri-photovoltaics offer a promising model that maximizes land use efficiency while also augmenting farmers' income. APVs, also known as agrivoltaics or solar farming, refer to the combined use of the same area of land for agricultural production as a primary purpose and for electricity generation through a solar photovoltaic system as a secondary use. Recent study identified a link between exposure to di-2-ethyl hexylphthalate or DEHP and heart disease deaths. DEHP, also known as bis-2-ethyl hexylphthalate, is a manufactured chemical that is commonly added to plastics to make them flexible. It is a colorless liquid with almost no odor. Indian Army revised new Russian Igla-S missiles to counter drones, choppers, jets. Igla-S is a man-portable, shoulder-launched surface-to-air missile or SAM system designed for mobile ground units operating in high-threat environments. It is an improved version of very short-range air defense systems. The US has recently approved sale of Hawkeye 360 technology to India to boost the country's surveillance capabilities. Hawkeye 360 technology uses clusters of 3 satellites in low Earth orbit to detect, geolocate, and analyze radio frequency signals. Archaeologists unearthed prehistoric tools from the Lower Paleolithic age in Mangarbani. Mangarbani is a Paleolithic site and a sacred grove hill forest in the Aravalli ranges along the Delhi-Haryana border. It is located in the only primary forest of Delhi NCR. Santhara, a Jain ritual, has recently been in the news. Santhara is a Jain religious practice in which an individual voluntarily chooses to end their life through fasting. It is believed to have been practiced since the foundation of Jainism and finds mention in Agams. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description.